Hello, my wonderful third graders. I hope you are doing well. We are still learning about colonial America. Today we're going to learn about Pennsylvania and the Quakers. I find the Quakers very interesting. Some vocabulary you'll hear throughout the read aloud. Founding means the act of starting something or creating something new. Managed means directed, handled, or controlled. Outrageous means shocking, unthinkable, extreme, or illogical. Privileges are rights that only certain people have because of the position they are in. Quakers are members of a Christian Protestant religion, also known as the Religious Society of Friends, which was started in England in the 1600s and exists today. Released means let out, let loose, freed. Treason is an act that causes harm to one's country while aiding the enemies of that country, an act of disloyalty. Treaty, a formal agreement between two or more countries or people. All right, so we have our three regions, right? We have our New England region, our Mid-Atlantic region, and our Southern region. So we've learned all about the Southern region and the New England region, and right now we're focusing on the Mid-Atlantic region, right there in the middle. In 1681, King Charles II paid back another overdue debt. He must have owed a lot of money. The man he owed money to this time was Admiral Sir William Penn. Admiral Penn had given Charles II a great deal of money during the time Charles was banished from England. However, Admiral Penn died before Charles had the chance to pay him back the money he owed. Feeling guilty about this, Charles decided to repay Admiral Penn's son instead. And so the younger William Penn woke up one day to discover that he had received the gift of an area of land that today is known as the state of Pennsylvania. So you can see a statue of William Penn here. And here's a painting of William Penn's father. They had some fun long hair. An admiral is the most senior captain of a fleet of ships. It wasn't an unexpected gift. William Penn had actually asked for this particular area of land. He had a plan for it, and fortunately for him, the king had agreed. The king even named this gifted land Pennsylvania, which means Penn's Woods, in honor of William Penn's father. The young William Penn was very happy indeed. Why did he want this land? Well, he wanted this land for religious reasons. Admiral Sir William Penn had been a Puritan, but his son was a member of a Protestant group known as the Society of Friends, more commonly known as Quakers. Quakers believe that all people of every race, religion, and gender are equal. They do not believe in war. Quakers do not think that it is necessary to go to church to worship God. They believe that people can pray to God directly and therefore do not need priests or pastors to help them do this. And perhaps what was considered the most outrageous or shocking thing by many people back then was that Quakers encouraged women to speak up. Sounds good to me. Who else have you learned about believed against the majority in her colony that women should speak their minds? Anne Hutchinson. Remember, she was a dissenter because of it. She had to leave. Because of their religious views, Quakers refused to support the Church of England, to swear oaths in court, or to fight in wars. These beliefs not only challenged the Church of England, but some of the laws of the land too. As a result, the Quakers were seen as disloyal and troublesome, and they were persecuted or treated unfairly in England. Many English people, including the king, thought it would be better if Quakers would simply leave England, but even some of the first English colonies in North America did not welcome Quakers. What were some other groups in England who were persecuted for their religious beliefs? The Puritans, the Separatists, the Pilgrims, Roman Catholics. Over the years, William Penn was arrested and placed in jail many times for his religious views, as were other Quakers. When he received the gift of land from the king, he knew exactly what he wanted to do with it. He planned to create a colony that would be a holy experiment. As the sole owner of this land, Sir Roger Williams of Rhode Island, or like Sir Roger Williams of Rhode Island, Penn planned to welcome people of all faiths and those from different countries. Prior to this, a small group of Quakers had already settled in what is now New Jersey. However, unlike some other colonists, William Penn intended to pay for the land he had been given. He wrote to the Lenape Native Americans of Pennsylvania and told them he would do so. He also told them that he hoped they could be good neighbors to each other. I like William Penn. William Penn had a clear idea of how he wanted his colony to be governed. He also had a clear idea of what the main settlement in his colony should look like. A plan for this future city was drawn up before it was built. The main settlement would be on a piece of land between two rivers, the Schuylkill, the Schuylkill, and the Delaware, near one of the largest freshwater harbors in the world. The settlement would be called Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Penn wanted Philadelphia to have a grid pattern of wide, tree-lined streets. He wanted there to be open areas where people could walk. Philadelphia was the very first English settlement to be planned before it was built. The word Phil, at Phile, means love, and in Delphos means brother. So it's brotherly love, which is just like love for everybody. Love, like you love your friends. In April 1681, Penn asked his cousin William Markham to be the deputy governor of Pennsylvania. His cousin accepted the position and set off right away. William Penn stayed behind in England to create a document that would outline the laws of this new colony. This document was called the First Frame of Government. William Penn had decided that his colony would be governed by elected leaders, not purely by the rich and powerful, as was the case in England. However, these elected leaders did have to be Protestants. People of other religions could settle in this colony and practice their faith, but they could not vote or hold office. Public education would be available to all children. There would be the right to trial by jury. In addition, William Penn believed that the purpose of jail was to reform or change prisoners rather than punish them. And so in William Penn's jails, rather than being locked inside tiny cells, many prisoners were held in large workhouses where they could spend their time doing something useful. In October 1682, William Penn sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to his new home on a ship called the Welcome. As soon as he arrived, he met with the native people, the Lenape, who are known today as the Delaware Native Americans, and together they drew up a treaty. Penn also arranged to buy the land he had been given by King Charles II rather than just take it. Before long, Philadelphia became an important center of commerce. Many people of different religions and nationalities made their homes there. In the early days, people came to this colony from England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. Later, they came from other parts of Europe, including Germany, France, Poland, and the Netherlands. A treaty is a formal agreement between two or more countries. Based on what commercial means, what do you think commerce means? Like trading and getting goods, selling goods, exporting, importing, that's all commerce. People even moved to Philadelphia from other English colonies for multiple reasons, including the many employment opportunities, the spirit of religious tolerance, and the available farmland and accessible harbor. As a matter of fact, a few years after Philadelphia's founding or establishment, the young Benjamin Franklin moved to the city to become an apprentice printer. Have you heard of Benjamin Franklin? Like New York, Philadelphia grew into an important city and center of commerce. Because Quakers were strongly opposed to slavery, they established small farms that could be more easily managed or controlled by fewer people. This is not to say that there weren't any enslaved Africans in Pennsylvania. There were. In fact, by 1730, there were 4,000 enslaved Africans in this colony, but that was much fewer than in the southern colonies. Ultimately, because Quakers felt that slavery was wrong, they actively fought to abolish or end slavery. So, Benjamin Franklin was one of the U.S. founding fathers. He was an author, a scientist, and an inventor. And you will hear more about him later. He's also on the $100 bill. William Penn worked hard in the first 2 years to establish this middle colony. Then in 1684, for a number of reasons, including a land dispute with the powerful Lord Baltimore, he decided to return to England. William left his cousin and another man in charge. Incredibly, when Penn returned to England, he was arrested for treason, and his right and access to the colony were taken away from him. Treason is an act of disloyalty that causes harm to one's country. Do you think William Penn should have been accused of treason? In the end, William Penn was found to be innocent of the treason charges against him. However, he did not return to Pennsylvania until 15 years later. When he did return in 1699, he found that many things had changed. During that time, thousands of people had moved to Pennsylvania. With more people came more problems. Being a reasonable man, William Penn listened carefully to the concerns of the people he had left in charge, and even to those people he had never met before. He recognized the need for an even more open form of government. In 1701, William Penn signed the Charter of Privileges. This document allowed elected members of the government not only vote on laws, but to create new laws as well. Privileges are freedoms allowed to certain people because of their position. A few years later, in 1704, an area in the southern part of Pennsylvania, known as the Lower Counties, was allowed to establish its own government. This area would eventually become the colony of Delaware. So here's Pennsylvania, and this little tiny part right here is Delaware, which is now a state. There were also many different reasons people chose to come to the middle colonies. One was that this region had good harbor areas and long, wide rivers. The English knew that this region would be good for trade. Another reason some people were drawn to the middle colonies was that the people in charge of governing those colonies were generally tolerant of people's religion. For the most part, the day-to-day decisions were made by elected officials in town and county assemblies in the middle colonies. However, the Duke of York, George Carteret, and John Berkeley were ultimately in charge. Soon after, William Penn set sail for England again. He never returned to Pennsylvania. In 1708, he was once again arrested. This time he was accused of not paying his debts. Although he was released within a year with his debts cleared, Penn's health had started to decline. William Penn continued to fight for the things he believed in. Throughout his life, he found himself on the opposing side of popular opinion. William Penn died in England in 1718, and he was buried next to his wife in a tiny village called Jordan's. He is remembered as the man who founded the great city of brotherly love. Here was where he was buried, and then this is a picture of a photograph of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Which colonies did you hear about in today's Read Aloud? Pennsylvania and Delaware. In which region were they located? The Middle Atlantic. How was the colony of Pennsylvania founded? King Charles II gave William Penn, the son of Admiral Sir William Penn, the land of Pennsylvania to repay his debts to the Penn family. What does Pennsylvania mean? Penn's Woods. What city in Pennsylvania is called the City of Brotherly Love? Philadelphia. What were William Penn's goals for founding Pennsylvania? Penn wanted to create a colony that would be a holy experiment. He wanted to welcome people of all faiths and from all countries. Recount some of the important things that William Penn did in Pennsylvania. Tell me 3 important things that William Penn did. Penn planned the city of Philadelphia, the first English settlement to be planned before it was built, made a treaty with the Lenape, also known today as the Delaware Native Americans, to purchase land in Pennsylvania, drafted some of the colony's first laws, such as the first frame of government and the Charter of Privileges, promoted religious tolerance in Pennsylvania, made it possible for Protestant men who were not wealthy to be elected to government, made public education available to all children, instituted trial by jury, reformed prisons by building workhouses instead, was accused of treason in England, went to jail twice, once for treason, once for debt, and died in England. He did a lot of cool stuff. Who were the Quakers and what influence did they have on the colony of Pennsylvania? Quakers are a Protestant group that still exists today. They believe that people of all races, religions, and genders are equal. They allowed women to speak up in Quaker meetings, which during the colonial era was considered outrageous by many. Quakers do not believe in war and refuse to fight in war. Quakers believe it is not necessary to go to church to worship God, and they believe that people can pray to God directly and therefore do not need priests or pastors to help them. They opposed slavery and later fought against it. Was Pennsylvania settled before or after New York and New Jersey? We look at our timeline here. It was after New Hampshire and after New York, right? But before Georgia. How was the colony of Delaware founded? The southern part of then Pennsylvania, called the Lower Counties, were allowed in 1704 to have an independent government. Eventually, the Lower Counties became the English colony of Delaware. Did Delaware become an official English colony before or after Pennsylvania? What makes more sense? It would have to be after, right? So we have New York, we have Pennsylvania, and then we have Delaware. Our word of the day is founding. In the read aloud, you heard that a few years after the founding of Philadelphia, young Benjamin Franklin moved to the city to become an apprentice printer. Say the word founding. Founding means the act of starting something or creating something new. In this read aloud, the word founding was used to describe the creation of the city of Philadelphia. But there can be a founding of many different types of things, such as an organization like clubs, businesses, charities, and other institutions. A founding is different from a finding. A finding is a discovery of something, such as a medical finding of a cure. A founding is the creation of something from the bottom up or from the beginning, from its foundation. So I'm going to read several examples to you. If the example is correct use of the word founding, you're going to say, yes, that is a founding. If not, you're going to say, no, that is not a founding. Founding a library. Yes, that is a founding. You can start a library. Founding a puppy. Can you start a puppy? No, that is not a founding. Founding a ski club. Yes, that is a founding. Founding dinosaur bones. Can you start dinosaur bones? No, that is not a founding. Founding a colony. Yes, that is a founding. Founding a city. Yes, that is a founding. Founding a country. Sure, yes, that is a founding. Founding an ocean. Can you start an ocean? No, that is not a founding. Founding the tradition of the Olympics. Yes, that is a founding. You can start the tradition of the Olympics. All right, so you can fill this out for Pennsylvania. The region is the Middle Atlantic region. It was, the seasons change. It had a pretty good climate. You can put when it was created. Key people, William Penn, King Charles II, industries. They had small farms, and then they had big cities. Motivation, William Penn wanted people to have religious freedom. Major city, Philadelphia. And then what you think is the most interesting details and things you want to learn more about Pennsylvania. Good job, third graders.